Why do you say that?
Because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but night time's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
I'm a drama teacher, and I'm going to audition each of you for my private class. Bachelor number 1.
You're a dirty old man.
Take it.
Come on, over here.
Oh, honey, we ought to go out and boogie.
Really?
Bachelor number 1. I am serving you for dinner.
Oh.
What are you called, and what do you look like?
I'm called the banana, and I look really good.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
Rodney Alcala was born on the 23rd of August, 1943, in San Antonio, Texas, to Raul Alcala Bucor and Ana Maria Gutierrez. His father left, leaving Anne Maria to raise Alcala and his sisters alone. At around the age of 12, Anne Maria moved the family to Los Angeles. So at the age of 17, Alcala joined the army and remained there until 1964, when he received a medical discharge after being diagnosed with severe antisocial personality. So Alcala, now out of the army, enrolled to UCLA School of Fine Arts, where he earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 1968. This is the same year that he kidnapped, raped, beat and tried to kill his first known victim. Tali Shapiro was an 8-year-old on her way to school when she was lured into Alcala's car, an act that did not go unnoticed by a nearby motorist who followed the two and contacted the police. Alcala took Tali into his apartment, where he raped, beat and attempted to strangle her with a 10-pound metal bar. When the police arrived, they kicked in the door and found Tali laying on the kitchen floor in a large puddle of blood and not breathing. Because of the brutality of the beating, they thought she was dead and began to search for Alcala in the apartment. A police officer returned into the kitchen, saw Tali struggling to breathe, so all attention went to trying to keep her alive. But at some point, Alcala managed to slip out the back door. When searching Alcala's apartment, the police found several pictures, many of young girls. They also found out his name and that he attended UCLA, but it took several months before they would find Alcala. Alcala, now using the name John Berger, fled to New York and enrolled in the NYU Film School. From 1968 to 1971, even though he was listed on the FBI's most wanted list, he lived undetected and in full view. Playing the role of a groovy film student and an amateur photographer, Alcala moved around New York single clubs. During the summer months, he worked at an all-girls summer drama camp in New Hampshire. In 1971, 2 girls attending the camp recognized Alcala on a wanted poster at the post office. The police were notified, and Alcala was arrested. In August 1971, Alcala was returned to Los Angeles, but the prosecutor's case had a major flaw. Tali Shapiro's family had returned to Mexico soon after Tali was recovered from the attack. Without their main witness, the decision was made to offer Alcala a plea deal. Alcala was charged with rape, kidnapping, assault, and attempted murder. He accepted a deal to plead guilty to child molestation, but the other charges were dropped. He was sentenced to 1 year to life and was paroled after 34 months under the Indeterminate Sentencing Program. The program allowed a parole board, not a judge, to decide on when offenders could be released, based on if they appeared rehabilitated. Although, with Alcala's ability to charm, he was back out on the streets in less than 3 years. Within 8 weeks, he returned to prison for violating his parole, for providing marijuana to a 13-year-old girl. She told police that Alcala kidnapped her, but he was not charged. Alcala spent another 2 years behind bars, and was released in 1977, again under the Indeterminate Sentencing Program. He returned to Los Angeles and got a job as a typesetter for the Los Angeles Times. It did not take long for Alcala to get back into his murderous rampage. In Los Angeles County, in November 1977, Alcala raped, sodomized, and murdered 18-year-old Jill Barkham, a New York native who had recently moved to California. Alcala used a large rock to smash in her face and strangled her to death by tying her belt and her pant leg around her neck. Alcala then left her body in a mountainous area in the foothills near Hollywood, where she was discovered on the 10th of November 1977. She was posed on her knees with her face in the dirt. In Los Angeles County, on December 1977, Alcala raped, sodomized, and murdered 27-year-old nurse Georgia Wixted. Alcala used a hammer to sexually abuse Georgia, then used the claw end of the hammer to beat and smash in her head. He strangled her to death using a nylon stocking and left her body posed in a Malibu apartment. Her body was discovered on the 16th of December 1977. In Los Angeles County, on June 1979, Alcala raped, beat, and murdered 33-year-old legal secretary Charlotte Lamb. Alcala strangled Charlotte to death using a shoelace from her shoe and left her body posed in a laundry room of an El Segundo apartment complex, where it was discovered on the 24th of June 1979. In Los Angeles County, on June 1979, Alcala raped and murdered 21-year-old Jill Parenteau in her Burbank apartment. He strangled Jill to death using a cord or nylon. Alcala's blood was collected from the scene after he cut himself crawling through a window. Based on a semi-rare blood match, Alcala was linked to the murder. He was charged for murdering Parenteau, but the case was later dismissed. In Orange County, on the 20th of June 1979, Alcala approached 12-year-old Robin Samsoe and her friend Bridget Wolvert at Huntington Beach and asked them to pose for pictures. After posing for a series of photographs, a neighbour intervened and asked if everything was alright, but Samsoe took off. But later, Robin got on a bike and headed to an afternoon dance class. Alcala kidnapped and murdered Samsoe and dumped her body near Sierra Madre in the foothills of San Gabriel Mountains. Her body was scavenged by animals, and her skeletal remains were discovered on the 2nd of July 1979. Her front teeth had been knocked out by Alcala. After the Samsoe murder, Alcala rented a storage locker in Seattle, where police found hundreds of photos of young women and girls, and a bag of personal items that they suspected belonged to Alcala's victims. A pair of earrings found in the bag were identified by Samsoe's mother as being a pair she owned. Alcala was identified by several people as the photographer from the beach on the day that Samsoe was kidnapped. Following an investigation, Alcala was charged, tried, and convicted for Samsoe's murder in 1980. He was sentenced to receive the death penalty. The conviction was later overturned by the California Supreme Court. Alcala was again tried and convicted for the murder of Samsoe in 1986, and was again sentenced to the death penalty. The second conviction was overturned by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. While awaiting his third trial for the murder of Samsoe, DNA collected from the murder scenes of Barkham, Wixted, and Lamb was linked to Alcala. He was charged for the 4 Los Angeles murders, including Parenteau. At the third trial, Alcala represented himself as his own defense attorney and argued that he was at Knott's Berry Farm on the afternoon that Samsoe was murdered. Alcala did not contest the charges that he committed the murders of the 4 Los Angeles victims, but rather focused on the Samsoe charges. At one point, he took the stand and questioned himself in third person by changing his tone depending on if he was acting as his lawyer or as himself. On the 25th of February 2010, the jury found Alcala guilty of all 5 counts of capital murder, 1 count of kidnapping, and 4 counts of rape. During the penalty phrase, Alcala attempted to sway the jury away from the death penalty by playing the song Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie, which includes the lyrics, I wanna kill, I wanna see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth, eat dead burnt bodies, kill. His strategy did not work, and the jury quickly recommended the death penalty, to which the judge agreed. Immediately after Alcala's conviction, the Huntington police released 120 of Alcala's photos to the public, suspecting that Alcala had more victims. The police asked the public's help in identifying the women and children in the photos. Several of the unknown faces have been identified. Two murder cases in New York have also been linked through DNA to Alcala. TWA flight attendant Cornelia Michael Crilly was murdered in 1971 when Alcala was enrolled at NYU. Cyril's nightclub heiress, Ellen Jane Hover, was murdered in 1977 during the time that Alcala had received permission from his parole officer to go to New York to visit family. Currently, Alcala is on death row at San Quentin State Prison.